Streaming has been gaining traction in and around the globe, and Africa has not been left out. The sports streaming business has picked up immensely on the continent, and TV broadcasters have now morphed to stream their content to their fans, giving them the ultimate accessibility. CGTN Sias to Plessis has more.
The COVID-19 pandemic left stadiums empty and forced people to stay at home. It meant supporters had to watch sport on their televisions, mobile devices, or on their computers. It forced federations to change the way they engage with their fans and opened the door for live streaming.
COVID has helped us in many ways to facilitate the fast movement and fast pace of live streaming, and especially of sport, and in particular the smaller clubs, smaller federations, smaller sporting codes. It really is going from strength to strength, and I think from my side the accessibility now of providing these streams to my clients and future clients is becoming wonderful.
Live streaming in South Africa comes with its challenges. Rolling blackouts and with limited connectivity, service providers need to be equipped with solutions to combat any obstacles.
Connectivity, always a big one. We do speed tests wherever we go, double check what we got. But again, as mentioned, the equipment is so reasonably priced nowadays. You can purchase what's known as bonding units, which allow for us to have a constant data connection. So we can basically stream from the desert, and we can actually make everything just work seamlessly well.
The traditional models of broadcasting like linear and satellite services are coming under pressure from video-on-demand platforms. And as a result, the SuperSport Schools app streaming service was born, providing free streams of matches across South Africa.
Each school is its own little small project, and we can, on a weekend do 350 fixtures. So there's a mass amount of preparation and understanding and then management of teams. And it's just about having good people around you and people who are keen to get involved and love what they do.
Streaming has also seen combat sports like jiu-jitsu grow exponentially, with thousands logging on to watch events like Submission Kings online.
You can only have X amount of people in a venue, especially coming through COVID and that kind of stuff. It had immense difficulties and immense expenses to make those things happen. So a free stream was always what we wanted to do. We just had no idea how to do it and where to start. Luckily, those things kind of fell into place for us.
Event organizers see streaming as a way to attract new sponsors and new fans.
And go and look through the stats, it's being watched all over the world. We won't be able to do that if we're not streaming, and it's massively important. It's important for us to grow, it's important for our athletes, We're getting a few international knocks online, people like, hey, who's this person, I'd like to come out there. So all of that helps, it helps exposure locally and internationally.
Combat sports appear to have benefited the most from the pandemic, with the UFC and Africa's Extreme Fighting Championship enjoying remarkable viewership growth. Both organizations offer streaming options and have seen the benefits of adding it to their traditional offerings. The sports broadcast industry is evolving, and instead of viewing streaming as a threat, it is now a brand new revenue stream. Sias to Plessis, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
All right, we are now joined by Head of Sports at Nation Media Group, Uganda, Ishmael Dikaba Kikongo from Kampala, to tell us more about the changing face of how sports is being watched in Africa. All right, Ishmael, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us here on Sports Scene. Let me start by asking you, why are viewers now turning to live streaming to watch their favorite sporting activities?
Good evening. First of all, it's about the access. We do not have stadiums that are big enough for everyone to be able to access the stadiums to watch the sports events that they would want to watch. And even where we have stadiums, let's say in the urban centers, in the capital here in Kampala, it can be very difficult to get from one part of town to the other because of the traffic in the afternoon, just because you have to watch a football game, a volleyball game, a basketball game. So when you find the option where you can stream the game, you're more likely not to waste your time sitting in traffic for 2 hours just to get to a game because you want to watch sport. Secondly, the COVID-19 pandemic taught us a lot, because we've always depended as a country on people running to the stadium so that you can raise money for the clubs and the national teams to get some kind of revenue. That revenue stream was mainly about the money paid at the gate. Now, because of COVID, and even when the stadiums were reopened and you only allowed 200 or 300 people to access the stadium, we realized that most of the federations had to turn to the stream so that they have more people watching their events. And it's been fairly good in terms of the numbers have been able to generate. But you've also got to look at the kind of generation we are talking about. Maybe my generation may not be able to relate that everything they would want is found online. But once people started to learn to do things using their phones, especially the shopping, because there's a time during the lockdown here where you could not even walk into a supermarket and you had to send someone to go and buy that for you, and that even had a limitation. Yet some of the distribution chains in the country, you were able to buy whatever you wanted online. Now when people shifted to buying their stuff online, the same way it is in most of the Western world, they even learn to watch their sport online. So you'll find that you'll walk into a stadium and you find, let's say, about 1,000 people watching a game of volleyball. When you go to their live stream, where they're streaming the game, you find 10,000 people watching a game of volleyball online. So it's been a no-brainer that people have found it much easier to stream games than access stadiums to watch them.
All right, Ishmael, important points that you have made there. Your points are well taken. Oh, how we have adapted since COVID. But that leads me very nicely to my next question. Do you think that live streaming is now a threat to traditional pay TV providers? From your perspective, how do you see it?
Wouldn't have been a better question than on a day like today. I was talking to a colleague earlier today who also does journalism, and was telling me he's found it much cheaper to stream games than to pay for his TV subscription. And here is why. Normally the cost of television in Uganda, with the biggest platform, which is DSTV, you're going to pay the equivalent of about $45 monthly to be able to watch all the sport that you want across the world. Yet if you paid about $20 and downloaded an app, you may be able to watch most of the sport that is available online. That is one way to look at it. It's about cost. The other one has always been the issue to do with reliability and availability. How reliable are these streams that if you paid money, or if you had somewhere you wanted to watch a game of sport and you've moved out of the city center, how reliable is the internet? Then how available is even the sport? Because it's also not smart enough to have an app on your phone or wherever you want to watch a game of football, volleyball, basketball, and then you have a challenge about how much of this sport is available. Because remember, you're losing internet, you're losing money. And if you're going to download something or to access a website to watch something, and it only shows up on your phone once a week or twice a month, they may not be worth it. But then it's also the same with television. I think many people who pay for television may not necessarily be for themselves, it's for their families. How much time do people spend at home? If you're working a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. day and you get home at 9, how much television are you going to watch in a day? Maybe 2 hours of TV. So the television you're paying for is for someone else. So all these things have to be put together. When you say how big a threat it is to traditional television, I think it is. Here, there is a mixed martial arts event that has been ongoing for the last few months called One Zone MMA. And with that One Zone MMA, all of it is streamed online. They don't actually even want the fans there. So people have gotten used to accessing their mixed martial arts on that kind of platform. And other federations are having to copy that. I've seen locally with the Uganda Volleyball Federation, they've done the same. Basketball have now a platform to stream most of their league games. The football people have followed the same path. What they do not have yet is the ability to create a revenue stream. Currently, they are streaming most of this content for free, and all you need is to have internet or access an app or access a website and watch it. But eventually, maybe they need to convert these people who are watching their content online into a revenue stream, which hasn't happened yet. But I can confidently say that it's a serious threat to traditional television.
All right, Ishmael Dakaba, you certainly hit the ball out of the park with that question. Fantastic insights. Thank you so much for being on Sports Scene. Well, there you have it. That was Ishmael Dakaba, who joined us from head of Sports Nation Media Group. Thank you so much, Ishmael.